Hey everyone, this is Keith and Stephen Rivas here for Next Generation Alarm Notification. Thank you again for your attendance. We'll go ahead and get started here. Today we're going to go over some specific components of the enterprise product, and we're going to be covering operator roles and alarm labels, and also advanced escalation with tactics and strategies. And towards the end, we'll go over an actual live demo of the concepts that we cover in the PowerPoint. After that, this session is being recorded, so basically we will upload it to YouTube, so anyone that you might know of that might want to watch it after we're done, we'll be able to access it through YouTube later today, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay, great. This is Stephen Rivas, so I'll take you through the presentation. If during the presentation you have any questions at any time, feel free to enter them in the questions box. You'll find that in the GoToWebinar, I guess, interface on the right side of your screen. Just go ahead, anytime, just put some questions in there, and then at the end we'll go ahead and take some questions. So let's start off with the roles and labels. So in Win911 Enterprise Edition, we have a concept of roles and labels. So roles are what we use to group contacts together. So if you've used version 7 in the past, we grouped everybody in something literally called a group. Now we're using something, a role, which you assign to each individual contact that you make within the software. So as you create your contacts, you assign the roles to them, and that puts them in a particular, you can think of it as putting them in a particular alarm notification list. So in the same way that we're grouping our roles together, we group our contacts together, we group our alarms together using what we call labels. Labels are pretty much the same thing as a role, it's just we assign those to alarms. So what you do is you create your contacts, assign them to a role, create your alarms or import your alarms, and assign those to a label. And why would you do that? Because when you create your escalation later on, it makes it easier to manage that, it makes it easier to create it, and that's what we're going to take you through in the live demo in a little bit. So roles and labels are how we are now doing our escalation to create what we call dynamic escalation. Again, I'll show you that in a moment. So how do you create your roles, or what kind of roles would you have? You can think of it as what is somebody's role within the organization. Are they an engineer? Do they deal with maintenance alarms? Are they a manager? However you organize your company is how you should create your roles. So in this example here, we've just got a simple graphic showing maintenance guy is responsible for this area, manager is responsible for this area, and an engineer would be responsible for his area. So we just create those roles to match. So once you create those roles, what you want to do, like I mentioned earlier, is assign those to the actual connection. So here you can see the connection workspace for Win911 for creating an email. So we've put in the details for this connection, and we've assigned this role of engineers to him. So you can add multiple roles to somebody. Someone can wear as many roles as you need. But once that's all you got to do. Create a contact, assign that role to them, and depending on your escalation logic that you've built, he will be automatically put into a call-out list, or a tactic is what we call it. So in the same way, like I said, labels, you organize your alarms. How would you create your labels? Again, it depends. You can think of it, if some people need to know about some alarms and other people need to know about other alarms, create your labels in a way that you could that you could facilitate that in your tactic later on. So if you know only certain operators are responsible for, in this example, let's say pump station number 1, then create that pump station label. The same thing with filtration or a storage tank, or maybe you create it by site, different buildings, again, whatever fits your organization. So once you create these labels, then you can assign them to alarms as you either define them one by one or import them. So you can see here, this is an example of an IFix block that's in our software. We've assigned this label to it called water treatment plant storage tank alarms. You can also assign labels to subscriptions. So in Win91, instead of defining individual tags or blocks, you can also create subscriptions, which means you don't have to import anything. So as this subscription or filter, you think of it as filter, filters all alarms within a group called storage tanks, it will assign this label to those alarms automatically. So you're not having to do it every time you bring in an alarm, and you don't have to manage an alarm list. Everything's done automatically with the subscription. And also another great thing about subscription is as you add new tags to you or alarms to your SCADA system, if it matches your filter that you previously created, it'll automatically come into Win911. So you no longer have to import a new alarm every time you add one to the SCADA system, or remove them when you remove them from the SCADA system. It syncs together automatically.
And Steve, we did have a quick question from Trevor. He wanted to know, can alarms be assigned to multiple labels, or vice versa?
Yeah, you can assign the same way with roles. You can assign as many labels to an alarm as you want. And we can, if you remind me, I might be able to show you that later on. All right, cool. So tactics. So once you've created your roles and your labels, you can start to create your call-out list. And we call those, in the new version of Win91, we call a call-out list a tactic. And there are two kinds of tactics. We have an advanced tactic and a basic tactic. An advanced tactic is what you're seeing here on the screen. It's a drag and drop interface where you drag these, what we call them blocks, into the workspace, and it will automatically draw the workflow for you, or the flow chart. So what you can see in this particular call-out list is this first block that you see. It says, it's the one where it says WTP storage tank alarm. So what that is we call that a label decision block. So it's going to check to see if an alarm is wearing that particular label. If it is wearing that label, it's going to go to the next decision block. This one's a severity decision block, so it's going to check the severity of the alarm. In this example, it's saying if it's greater than 750, which in Win911 our severity scale goes from it's 0 to 1,000, I believe. So 750 is a high severity alarm, or you could think of 750 as a high severity alarm. So if it is 750, it's going to go out on the right side, and it's going to notify the water treatment plant operators, and it's going to notify anyone wearing the manager role. If it's not over 750, it'll wait 10 minutes, maybe that's some time to let the alarm clear so you don't need to notify anyone. And if it's still active, then go ahead and call the water treatment plant operator. So on the right side is if it matches the decision block, and on the left side is if it doesn't match. So on the left side would be, I guess, what you could consider low severity alarm. And what's great about a tactic here is you don't see anyone's particular name. You just see roles and labels. So if you need to add someone to your company, to your contact list, all you have to do is create them, put in their details like their phone number, their email address, and give them the right role, and then they'll automatically be inserted into one of these advanced tactics. So once you create all your tactics, you can create what we call strategies. Strategies are what drive the escalation within Win911. So when Win911 gets an alarm, it's going to be in a certain condition. And depending on that condition, you tell Win911 what to do. So on an initial event, you would want to start a tactic. So start the call out list on the left there. And so it'll run through there, and it will send out the notifications to who it needs to send them to. Then the next condition says any alarm state changed. Let's go ahead and re-notify. So anyone that had been previously notified about the alarm will get another notification saying the alarm state had changed. When the alarm becomes acknowledged, it's you can go ahead and stop the strategy. So you stop notifying for this particular alarm. And then I've also got another condition in there that says upon repeating timer. So every 20 minutes, go ahead and re-notify. So if I got an initial event or got an alarm, I'll run through that tactic. Anytime the alarm state changes, I'll re-notify. And every 20 minutes, as long as the alarm is not acknowledged, I will re-notify as well. And it's fully customizable. You can select from a whole list of different conditions and actions and make the software do almost anything you like as far as escalation goes. So a lot more flexibility over the groups in version 7. So these two things work together. So you can see here's kind of an example here. So you have your alarms. You want to assign your alarm to a strategy. And that on the left side, that's a filter. So we're defining filter terms to filter alarms into Win911. And so we're saying this filter, any alarms that match this particular filter, which is filtering, it's an IFix filter you can see, and it's filtering in any alarms that would be in an IFix area called Win911. And if it is in that area, send it to a strategy called standard strategy. So then it gets sent to the strategy where it'll say on this initial event, start a particular tactic called operators and managers. And you can see on the right side I've got a simple tactic over there. So it would start that contact list or that tactic. And then when alarm state changes, it would re-notify those guys. And when it becomes terminal, which it means it's acknowledged and inactive, then it would stop notifying. So that's how alarms, tactics, and strategies all tie together to do alarm notification. So I'll show you a few example tactics real quick. So the first one here, you start off at the top, and we've got one of those notify all blocks. It's saying notify all connections wearing the operator role, wait 20 minutes, and then notify another role. So in this case, the manager role. So the next one, severity decision block. I showed you the severity decision block. Again, it's checking to see what the severity is. If it's over 500, go out on one side. If it's below 500, go out on the other side. And then a time span decision block. This guy will check to see how long an alarm has been active. So if it's been active for 45 minutes, longer than 45 minutes, then it will go out on the right side. And then you can see there's a little schedule decision block. So now it's going to check to see what time of day it is right now. If it's a weekend, go ahead and notify so-and-so. If it's not a weekend, then check to see if it's nightly 12-hour schedule, which is, I think it's like 5 to 5 in the morning or something like that. Go ahead and notify someone else. So you can create pretty much any escalation path you like using advanced tactics. There's one more example. In this one, we're checking to see if the alarm's a safety alarm. If it is, let's call the fire department and the police department and whoever is in your organization wearing the safety team role. If it's not a safety alarm, we can check to see if it's a building number 1 alarm. If it is building number 1 alarm, send it to the building 1 team. If it's not building 1, then I guess it means it's building 2, so contact the building 2 team. And then you can nest those as far as you like. So if you had a building 3 and so on, you can nest them over on the left side and keep building it out. So those are some examples of tactics. So if you don't need advanced escalation like that, and you much rather prefer using a simple call-out list that's more in line with what version 7 does. Instead of using the advanced tactic, you can use what we call a basic tactic. So it's a simple call-out list where you add people in a particular order that you want them to be notified. We've made it so that you can easily add people in and out. So you could add all 5 of those connections in very quickly. You can also set all their details like retries, delays, and whatnot as you're adding them in, so you don't have to do it for each individual one. And I would say one of the biggest advantages of the basic tactic over version 7 is everything follows one notification queue, meaning it says contact Bob at the start. So it's going to send an email to Bob. It's going to wait for that email to be accepted by the email server. Then it will email Alice. Then it will email Joe. And then it will call the on-call phone. And then it will wait until he's hung up. And then it will email the next person. So what I'm trying to say here is, instead of having, in version 7, we had a voice queue, we had a text queue, and if you wanted things to go out in a particular order, you really had to sit there and work out all the delays. Now, just put them in the list in the order that you want, and it will follow that order. It doesn't start separate queues and whatnot, and you don't have to mess around with delays to figure out how you're going to get an email to go out right before a phone call and so on. So those are basic tactics. So let's just jump into a demo real quick. So jump over here. So real quick, I've just got a simple InTouch application with a few sliders and switches. These alarms they belong to certain groups within InTouch, so we can use subscriptions to bring those alarms in. So we're going to start from having almost nothing configured to having a whole tactic created and bringing in alarms and notifying people. So let's go into Win911. This is the configuration for Win911. It's in a web browser, as you can see. It's hosted by IIS, so you can access it from anywhere within your network. It's secured with Windows authentication as well, so when you do come here, you have to enter a valid Windows account and password to edit any settings. So we've laid it out kind of in the order that we would want someone to configure the software for the first time. So we'll start off with contacts. So you can see under contacts we have the different notification methods. So today we're just going to mostly deal with email. So I want to go to email. I've got my gateway configured, send through Gmail, which I don't recommend unless you have a really, really small system. There are sending limits with Gmail, so be aware of that if you plan to use it. So I've got a few connections defined under our email module. I've got myself here, and I've got Keith here as well. Also got Alice and Joe, who aren't real people. But you can see I've got them. Alice, I've got her email in there, and I've got her assigned to a water treatment plant operator. I've got Joe in there. He's a manager. So Keith, what I want to do with him is I will make him a wastewater treatment plant operator. So you can see I've already created this role, and all I'm going to do is attach it to his connection and hit save. All the saves are in, or edits I should say, are in real time. So when I make that change, it takes effect immediately. So there's nothing to restart to make that change happen. So I'll click on my connection, and I'm going to make myself a water treatment plant operator. So you can see we're in 2 different roles here. If you did want, again, someone was asking this earlier about labels, but you can also assign multiple roles to a single person, so you can see that. So once you have all your connections created, you can then put them in an advanced tactic. So what we'll do now is I'll jump over to labels real quick so you can see alarm labels. So this is how you create a label, and the role workspace looks very similar. All you do is hit the plus button there, type in a name, choose a color scheme, and that's it. There's nothing else to it. It's just a badge you stick onto alarms so that you can use it in the advanced tactics later. Alright, so I've got my email connection, so I'll go next to notification, and let's create a tactic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an advanced tactic. Let's see. So we'll go into this workspace. Like I said, it's literally a drag and drop workspace. So what I want to do first is I want to check to see if an alarm is a water treatment plant alarm. So I'll drag in this label decision block. So I'm going to choose which label I want to check for. So check water treatment plant alarms, and then we'll stick it on there. So now I can drag stuff on the left and the right of that particular decision block. So I'll go over back to, you know what, actually, so after this, let's check to see what the severity is. So we'll drag severity in. If it's above, we'll use like the example we used earlier, 750. We'll say that's high severity. So now what we'll do is we can drag our notification blocks in. So this one says notify all. If I left it just like this, it would notify everyone in the system regardless of which role they're wearing. So I want to edit him and say notify the water treatment plant operators. Because it is a water treatment plant alarm, I want to notify water treatment plant operators. And because it's high severity, let's notify the managers as well. So choose that role. And if it's not high severity, then it must be low severity. So just like that example earlier, I'll go over here and drag in a delay block. Let's say 10 minutes on him. Save that. And then I will just notify just the water treatment plant operators. So now, because of the way we've set this up, we're saying notify a different set of people depending on the severity of the alarm. So that's something we could never do in version 7. There are other decision blocks available. You can check to see if an alarm is acknowledged. You can check to see if it's an active state or inactive state. You can check, you can do something depending on what time of day it is, and you use this in conjunction with schedules that you create. This is the label decision block we're using. This is a severity decision block we use. And this is a time span decision block where you can do things like check how long an alarm has been active or how long it's been since its last state change. Alright, so now that I've done that, let's check to see if it's a wastewater treatment plant alarm. So I'll select that label. And let's just do this. Let's just put in one block here. So I'll notify wastewater treatment plant operators. And if it's not either one of these, which is possible, so it doesn't match either decision block, you can maybe put in a notification at the end, just like as a catch-all maybe. You can think of it that way. I'll just stick the managers on there. And so what I'll call this tactic is I'll call it WTP and WWTP call-out list. And you can put a description in there if you need to give more context to what this particular tactic is doing, and then you hit save. So right now that tactic isn't doing anything. It's just it's a tactic that we can use, but we're not using it yet. I've also got this other one called auto acknowledge alarms. You can acknowledge alarms through a tactic, and that's all this guy does. Is when you call this tactic from a strategy, it will acknowledge an alarm, and I'll show you how that actually works. Cool. So now that we've got our tactic made, we can create our strategy. So let's go to the strategy workspace, and we can hit the plus button to create a new one. So let's call this WTP and WWTP alarms. So those type of alarms will be sent to this particular strategy. So we'll go into what we call advanced mode, and we can edit these conditions and actions. So on initial event, what I wanted to do is start that tactic we just made. So we'll go select him. And I don't want to do any alarm state change. What I'll do is when it becomes inactive, you know, let's just do any alarm state change. That'll be easier for a demo. We'll re-notify, and when it becomes terminal, we'll stop the strategy. But what I want to do is I want to show you that auto-acknowledge tactic that I made. So let's say a lot of things that a lot of people using version 7 would set their tags to auto-acknowledge on return to normal. So you can do that same thing with Enterprise. But what you do is you say alarm becomes inactive, so it's returned to normal, and I want to start that tactic. And that tactic, again, all it had in there was a block that will acknowledge alarms. So when an alarm does go inactive, Win911 will automatically acknowledge it. So now we've got that initial event, call that tactic we made. When it changes state, re-notify anyone you notified. When it becomes terminal, which means it's inactive and acknowledged, stop notifying. And when it becomes inactive, go ahead and acknowledge the alarm. And the order of this does not matter. So in fact, it will automatically reorganize some things. So you can see it's reorganized it, but again, they're conditions, so the alarm has to be in a particular condition for the action to take place, so the order does not matter. Okay, so we've created our contacts with the roles, we've created a tactic, we've created a strategy, so now we got to bring the alarms into Win911. We are using InTouch for this demo today, but we also have OPC connection. We connect to Simplicity, Factory Talk Alarm and Events, and IFix. So let's go into InTouch, and we're going to create one of those subscriptions I was talking about. So you see this one's called WTP, and this one, well, actually I already have them created, but this one's called WTP, and this one's called WWTP. So if we want to look at this real quick, what this guy is saying is any alarm that belongs to a group in InTouch called WTP, attach this label to it, and then that's it. That's the subscription. And so I'll show you how you use the subscription. So that WWTP is doing the same thing. It's just filtering on a different group. So now we go over to applications. And this is our new InTouch DirectConnect. So this is different from the version 7 one. So this, we can connect to InTouch applications over the network now. And you can connect to multiple InTouch applications from one Win911 system. So I already have my application defined, so I'm going to go ahead and edit this guy, and I'm going to go over to my subscriptions route tab, and I'm going to put those subscriptions I had made into this application, so those subscriptions will be used by this particular application. So let's hit the plus button. We'll choose our subscription. We'll say WTP subscription. Let's send it to that strategy we made called WTP and WWTP alarms. Let's create another one for the other subscription, WWTP, and we're going to assign that to the same strategy, but it will, those alarms will be handled differently because of the tactic that it's calling out. And then all we have to do now is hit save. And now Win911 is configured to bring alarms in from InTouch, so I don't have to do anything else. So let's trigger an alarm. Let's set off this freshwater alarm, and then let's check our, so you can see it there. Let's go into our log viewer here, so you can see my alarm came in, and let's double click him, and you can see all the notifications it sent out. So you can see it sent it to myself, it sent it to Alice, and sent it to Joe. And then it was, when it says success like this, what that means is the email server accepted the message. So success will mean different things for different notifiers. For example, SMS, success means the modem accepted it. Voice means somebody heard the message on the phone. They actually heard it. And mobile 911, it's successful when the mobile 911 server accepts it. So right now you can see the alarm is in acknowledge. You can see which strategy triggers have been hit. So initial event's the only thing that's happened and it started my tactic. You can also go through tactic execution if you wanted to figure out why a tactic wasn't doing exactly what you wanted to. You could move yourself through this list and figure that out. We'll also log the state changes in this log viewer too. So what I'll do is that should have sent out, so it's fresh water. You can see these, well, it triggered two, but you can see that there's a label WTP alarm stuck on there. So that means it followed that particular route in our tactic. So it's going to notify myself. So if I go here, I should have that alarm in here. So we'll click on him. And so you can see the details of the alarm. In this format, it's completely customizable. You can make it say anything you like. If I want to acknowledge through email, I just have to send a blank email in. So you just hit reply and you send it in. And that will, Win91 will check for a new incoming messages every minute. So it takes usually about 30 seconds for the alarm to get acknowledged. So once that goes through, it will get acknowledged and it will send a notification back to me saying that the alarm was acknowledged. So let's set off the other alarm here, the wastewater treatment plant alarm. I must have done something earlier to make it send me double alarms like that, but it's no problem. So that won't send a notification to me because I'm not a wastewater treatment plant operator, so I won't get an alarm. So I think that's probably because I have two messages here. I fix that. I'll fix it real quick. This is okay. So it's already running. Okay, we're shutting down. So there we go. So that's what I get for setting up a demo so quickly. So now it's processing my alarms again. So so if I go back to my email, select, hit refresh, I should get a new email just now. I did. So let's send in the ACK. That will act that alarm. And I'm not looking at Keith's email inbox, but he would have a an email sent to him for this wastewater treatment plant alarm. So I know that because it sent it to him. And you remember I gave Alice both roles, so she's going to get notified for either one. So that guy's going to work. So that's how escalation works. One thing I wanted to show you guys real quick was the basic tactic. So this is how you create a basic tactic. You come over here, you hit the plus button. It will load all the connections that are in the system. If I wanted to add everybody, just select everybody. I can set retries for everybody now. I can set delays between retries if I want. So let's say 3 minutes. If I want to wait between connections, meaning I call somebody, wait some amount of time, and they'll call the next person, I can set that here. So let's say I want to give them 5 minutes, and then you hit OK. So you see it will add them all in, and then if I want to move them around, so for example, emails go out really quick, so let's move all those to the top. Yeah, unselect that guy. And now the phone calls. So it'll send these out real quick. Well, because I have my delay after it won't, but let's set those to 0. So it'll send out all my emails immediately, and then it will call a phone, and it will call another phone after 5 minutes after he's heard the message. Or if he didn't pick up, then it will wait 5 minutes and then call the next person. So that's how you can configure a basic tactic. So that's pretty. So this is more similar to what version 7 does. So if you don't need to do those decisions in an advanced tactic, that you could just use a basic tactic. So if I save this, you use it in the same way that you use an advanced tactic. So if you went to a strategy, made a new one, you can browse for it and you can select it there. So you just think of a tactic again as just a call-out list. It's a different way of doing a call-out list, and you can just select it there, and it'll go through that contact list instead of the other. So you can see my alarm got acknowledged. You can see that in the log viewer. If we scroll back over here, you can see it got acknowledged, and we track who acknowledged it. If you click it, you can see Stephen acknowledged it through email, and you can see it got acknowledged here in InTouch. And I believe if I set this guy to return to normal, that other one should get acknowledged too. So you can see it's gone now because it got acknowledged. So this one got acknowledged by what we call the dispatcher. That's the module that handles it all. And you can see it put in a comment in there that I typed in saying auto acknowledge from Win91. So that's how you do the auto acknowledgement. Okay, so I think that's about it for the demo. So I guess we can take some questions. I think I went a little bit over time though.
Oh, you're good. We're supposed to go until 11:30.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, again, if anyone has any questions, you can submit them in the question box on the GoToMeeting panel. We do have a couple that we're going to answer. Also, any that we don't specifically get to, I'll follow up via email and get you an answer. So it looks like the first question is, this is about Wonderware DirectConnect.
Okay.
Does the name have to be the name of the InTouch application, or does Win911?
Oh no, it's just the application's just what you give it as a name is just a user-defined name. It can be anything you want. All we need to know is where the computer is. So in this case, I'm running InTouch. It's where window viewer is running, I should say. So you just need to know either the IP address or the host name of that computer, and then we connect to it using a TCP connection, using Wonderware's alarm toolkit and SweetLink. So we use the alarm toolkit and SweetLink for our direct connect into InTouch. So that's all you need is the name of the computer, and the name field just any user-friendly name you want. So,
can you use Win911 with GE Simplicity?
Yes. So we support 8.2 and 9.0. I think is the name is the version number. 9.0 R2, and they've recently released 9.5. We haven't verified compatibility. We haven't run it through QA process, but I've run some tests on it, and it looks like 9.5 should function normally, but we still need to verify that.
How does Win911 Enterprise handle bypassing alarms?
So you can't bypass individual alarms like you can in version 7. If you had, I mean, there are several different ways you can do it. One, you can put the whole system in standby mode, and then no alarm notifications will go out. You'll still get the alarms coming in, but none of them will be sent out. Since it's runtime all the time, meaning anytime I make a change to the system, it will happen immediately. You could either edit your strategy to not call out. There is a particular strategy that says do not notify. So let's real quick, let's go to InTouch. I don't have any tags in here right now. Let me import some tags from InTouch. So choose my CSV file, go next. You can choose a tag I want to monitor, so let's say this one. Actually, just real quick so you can see this. If I want to attach a label to this guy, it's WTP group, so let me put WTP alarms on it. As I move it over, go to the next one. choose which alarm on that tag I actually want to know about. So I'll put him over there. And you can see you assign your strategy here, and then you hit next, and then it will finish. So now I can go to the tags screen. So if you didn't want to use subscriptions, you can still import tags in most of the direct connects we have. So the point of me showing you this was that if you have done it this way, you can go into the tag and just set it to do not notify. And then when you're ready for it to notify again, you can come set it back to your strategy and hit save again. So we don't have the traditional bypass feature or functionality yet, but very few workarounds. But we should have something soon for bypass. And we're also looking into supporting shelving alarms within your SCADA for a few different SCADAs.
Okay, so this is kind of kill two birds with one stone. Can you show how you would handle schedules with different operators on call? We got two questions about handling different operators who have maybe a rotating schedule. Joe works first shift, second shift week, third shift.
Let me see.
There's basically how we handle rotating shift
I'll just
schedule.
show you how you can create schedules. So if you go to the schedule workspace, you've got a few that are built in. So what I can do is I can create a schedule. You can create schedules for individual people, or you can create a schedule that everyone can use. I don't know exactly what the example is, but what I'll do is I'll show you how you can create alternating week schedules. So what you want to do is when a schedule is active, you have an appointment on the schedule. So you choose a day, click add a new appointment, and then you can double click it. You can give it a name. So let's say on call is the name of this appointment. So during these hours is when this schedule would be active. So we're going to say, I don't know, let's say it's an after hours kind of thing. So we'll choose today, we'll say at 5 p.m. to the next day, which would be the 28th. And let's say they start at 8 a.m. So I'll say close. So it's going to go from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. And I can say OK, and that creates one little appointment. But what you want to do is come into Edit Recurrence, and you can choose how it repeats. So if it's every weekday, I can choose every weekday. And then I can say recur every 2 weeks. So it'll be on call 1 week, skip a week, on call the next week, and so on. So I'm going to say recur every 2 weeks, choose the days I want, and then just say OK, and say OK. And then you'll see, let's see if I can zoom out for you guys to make it a little easier to see. So you can see it filled out the schedule with those blocks. So the reason it looks like there are two is because it's because they overlap, so it's just got to move down. So you don't have to create multiple schedules like you did in version 7 to do overnight schedules anymore. You can use these, and you'll see this just continues on for all time. And you can create, you don't have to choose, I mean, you can choose any days you want. You can do the same thing for weekends. You can even come in and say, let's say, let's say you want to take the Christmas off, so well, he's not on call, it's Christmas. So let's say he wants to take New Year's off. So we come into this appointment, we can delete this one appointment instead of the whole thing, and so he just wouldn't get phone calls that day. So so you can edit this schedule. So again, you can create schedules for individual people, or you can create schedules for that everybody can use. So I could call this on-call schedule. And then you would be able to use this schedule with any connection that you already have, or a connection you create. So you'll see it here. So, oh, and if you're using a tactic and it says to send a notification to you, it's going to check the schedule to see if you're on schedule. If you're not on schedule, it's not going to send you a notification.
So we have a couple of specific data source questions. When do you plan to support system platform? And second is, when do you plan to support Rockwell Factory Talk Alarm Events version 9?
So for system platform, that's the next data source that we're going to start working on. We're hoping we can have it out by sometime mid-year. We are changing that data source, so it'll be a little different than the version 7 one. We're going to be using the alarm toolkit the same way we're using it with InTouch, so you can create subscriptions so you won't have to import attributes to monitor them. We'll likely also include that functionality if you do want to import attributes and maintain them and import them, delete them, and so on. We'll probably build that in too. If you just use the alarm toolkit, you won't need to be on a platform. You won't need to be running Win911 on a deployed platform because the alarm toolkit just works over the network, and it has no platform requirements, I guess you would say. But if you do want to do the import of individual tags, you will still need to be on a platform because we'll be using the same toolkit for that, and that is a requirement for that toolkit. So again, about mid-year is when we expect to have that out. For Factory Talk 9, we support Factory Talk 9 now. So if you're using it, you can use Win911 with it. I will say that I need to create an app note for Factory Talk 9. So if you are using Factory Talk 9, you'll need to make some changes to the alarm and event service that runs on that system. You need to change the logon user from what it's set to now, which is local service, to local system, in order for the connection to work properly. So if your question is you've tried that already and it didn't work, that's the change you need to make it work.
Question from Conrad. How does Win911 handle redundancy, and are you planning to translate Win911 into other languages like German, for instance?
Yeah. So redundancy, we still support the hot backup method that version 7 did with standby and active mode, and there are executables that you can run to change the state of Win911. We have some failover scripts for certain SCADAs that you can use. It checks to see if Win911 is running or not, and if it's not running, then it can fail over to another Win911 system. But we do intend on creating what we call the status module, which will monitor the system automatically, and you can choose to fail over to another Win911 system, and that will come out. We're hoping that will come out later at the end of this year. What was the other question?
Did you address the language?
Oh, language. Yeah, so it is localized as it right now. So this configuration GUI you're looking at is localized. I believe German is one of the supported ones.
Yeah. Yeah, Conrad, we'll send you an email on that. I'm pretty sure one of the languages we did localize Enterprise in is German, from some of the specs I have. But I'll follow up with our dev team and make sure that that's in there and available now. Also, this version is available on our website to system integrators and distributors and also end users for a 30-day free trial download. Obviously, if you're going to use it for in-house integration purposes, we can get you a permanent copy for that. We'll finish up here. Just a couple more questions.
I did want to say real quick that Win911, I mean, even if the GUI is not translated or localized, alarm details and whatnot can be any language you want. So version 7 was U.S. English only, but if you have alarm messages or descriptions and whatnot that are in other languages or use Unicode, that's totally fine. It will work with that.
Does Win911 still support DDE connection with Excel?
No. It does not have a DDE connection.
But you can still use version 7.
Yes, you can still use version 7 with DDE. I think Microsoft killed off Net DDE in Windows 7 when Windows 7 came out. Maybe it was Vista, I'm not sure. Um, so yeah, we didn't carry DDE forward with Enterprise.
Are we compatible with Windows 2016?
Server 2016, I believe our QA department right now is running through a validation test for 2016. I really don't expect to see a problem. We do rely heavily on IIS for the web server, so they do have a new version of IIS there, which I believe is the same exact version that's in Windows 10, and we support Windows 10. I don't expect it to be a problem, but not officially yet, but it should work just fine.
Is this still an application, or is it web-based only?
Well, it's just a configuration that's web-based, so there is no app that you can run on a desktop, that is the configuration. If you're still looking at the screen, you can see that all there are two parts to Win911. There are the run times, so the pieces that actually connect to different things, like to email servers, to the SCADA systems, and those all run as services. And so you can see them all here. So each one's its own service, and the reason we did that is because if one application did have a problem, say crash or whatever, the rest of the system will keep running. So it's modular that way. And the GUI is the part that's hosted in IIS, the configuration GUI. But the runtimes all run as services, except for actually the InTouch one, which due to the way Alarm Toolkit and SweetLink work, you have to run it as an application.
Matt, to answer your question about premium voice, we do have some new options available in different languages, and also obviously for North America. We're using a company, I forget the name.
We partner with Nuance. They create text-to-speech engines, and so we partnered with them. I believe we offer about 47 languages now.
Yeah.
So that's why we went with those guys. Our previous partner didn't have as many international voices, so we decided to partner with Nuance, and now we can provide those.
And we can still use the text-to-speech voice on some of the newer Windows operating systems, which have been dramatically improved from Windows XP up till now.
Yeah, if you check out Windows 10 voice, it's much better. We've come a long way from Microsoft Mary.
Is OPC UA on the roadmap?
Actually, it is. So OPC UA alarm and events is what we're looking at. So we would probably do that before we would do an OPC UA data access connection. That is a higher priority data source for us, but we've got some other data sources that are even higher priority, like system platform. So we do intend on creating that data source. I can't give you a date for that, though. I just don't have one.
Do we support IFix? Yeah, Harry, I'll reach out to you after we're done and get you some information on how we integrate with GE IFix.
Yeah, we support IFix 5.1 or 5 and up. We also have partnered with GE, and they offer a very limited version of this software with every IFix install they sell. So that's included with IFix servers now.
Do you have to manually start/stop services to make configuration changes on a live system?
Nope. In development, I find myself restarting things because I want to reinitialize alarms and whatnot, and it's the easiest way to do that. But once it's in production, like you guys saw me with the InTouch thing earlier when I restarted. That's because I've been messing around with this for the past couple hours, getting ready for a demo. But normally, did you delete a person or you delete a subscription or a tag, it's immediately gone. So it immediately takes place. So you don't have to restart anything.
Can you confirm that the recommended data fax modem can make phone calls, the MT9
To the
23
MU CDC XR? Yeah, it can. So in Windows, I mean, yeah, it works. In Windows 10, it did not work for a long time. No TAPI modem was working in Windows 10. And in December, Microsoft released an update finally for Windows 10 to allow TAPI to work again. So in Windows 10, that modem will work, and it will work in all the other OSs as well. But if you are using Windows 10, make sure your system's fully up to date so that TAPI will function correctly.
Can the InTouch connector be run as a service using the service wrapper like V7?
No, I don't believe InTouch will run as a service. And so, and again, you have to run as an application in order to connect due to the Windows session that everything's running in. So if Window Viewer is running in one Windows session, then InTouch needs to be running, our runtime needs to be running in the same session to make that happen. I believe that Wonderware plans on releasing a new version of InTouch that will run as a service. I can't tell you how we'll handle that, but that might actually make it easier to run it as a service. So right now you have to run it as an application. You can set Window Viewer to automatically start it so that you don't have to manually start it every time you boot the computer.
And then probably the last question here, we have automated paging based on shift change over times. Is there a way in version 9 to do this? We have an automated paging.
What was the question? Read again.
We have automated paging based on shift change over times. Is there a way in version 9 to do this?
There's no way to change schedules automatically. You have to always manually change schedules. Yeah, I guess I would need to know more about your use case to tell you what we can do about it.
Paging based on times?
Oh, you can't, so we still need a trigger of some kind to trigger a notification. So we can't just say at a particular time send a notification. So you'd have to have a data source of some time that creates an alarm. You could do that with like OPC, look at a system tag on an OPC server and say let's say you wanted something every hour, so you would set an alarm when the tag equals 1, that's an alarm. When it equals 2, that's an alarm. And you can have it send out notifications based off that. So we could probably find a solution to that.
Well, that looks like all the questions for today. Again, we just want to thank you everyone for attending, and hopefully this was educational. We'll be doing more of these as the months, or probably next month or the following month when we release some new features for Enterprise. So have a great day, and again, thank you.
Thanks, guys.